Hello and welcome to the Ballcard Show, the sports podcast
for the sports collector.
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
This is season 6 and episode 13.
And you, sir, are fighting for your life this morning.
For those of you saying that I'm always sick, shut up. I don't like your tone.
So we get in the car to head to Indiana to Bronco Bash this past weekend, and Jason's like, yeah, I've just got this little head cold. I'm not actually sick. It's like just my sinuses. And over the next 48 hours, I just watch him deteriorate into a shell of a man. As the last day of Bronco Bash, he has not much of a clue what's going on, to the point where he got home and went, "Oh, I bought a lot of things I don't remember buying."
Yeah. I was like, man, I haven't bought much. I just like that, and then I got back and I started looking through everything. I was like, yeah, I was just out of it. I just not feeling well. So
you were not at all, which is okay.
The Sudafed on a regular, cough drops. I'm drinking herbal teas, and I think it's one of those 72-hour bugs that I'm going to be extra dramatic about. That's probably what's happening here.
I'm just super excited that it didn't land on me too.
Yeah. By the way, can we talk about how I'm live from a new location?
Oh yes, we can. It's very nice.
New location unlocked. My wife decided, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't have to stay in the basement all the time. So finally finished out at office. So got a little fun new things to look at, fun old things to look at too.
It's so pretty.
It's pretty and nice. Okay. I want to get right into it. Gary, you ripped a kid off at a show.
Stop it. Stop it. I absolutely did not. So, okay.
Hold on. I'm going to set it up and then you can go.
Oh, God. You weren't even there. How are you going to set it up?
I'm going to just share my experience.
Your experience? Okay.
Is my experience not relevant here, Gary?
Well, you weren't there, so you would tell me that my experience.
I did bring up the whole topic. Though,
okay.
Right?
Go ahead. Go ahead, and then I will actually tell the story.
See, this is going to look dumb now. You're going to come across really needy in this story because I wasn't even going to go there.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead, Gary? You've now completely ruined the setup, demolished it, just like any punchline I'm about to deliver that you're familiar with. Go ahead.
So here was
how it's a different vibe now? You see how it's a different vibe now?
Why is it a different vibe?
Because I can wingman a story like this. But if you want to monologue the story, it's just going to be like a defense trying to make their case. And now I'm not going to believe it as much. I'm going to listen with a different filter. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. So, and this is a story that I'm going to try to not get too specific because the goal here isn't to embarrass anybody.
This time,
the goal is not to embarrass anybody. It's a teachable moment. So I had a card in my showcase, and a young man, probably 13 years old or so. As a matter of fact, I know he was 13 years old because his father made sure to tell me that. Comes up to our table with a few of his friends, and he's looking through the showcases like a lot of these young men do, which is awesome. And he's talking to his friends about the cards he sold today and how much cash he has. This kid's literally walking around with about 10 grand just in a sling across his chest at 13 years old, talking about selling a Jordan rookie today and a few other things. And he's comping a few cards in my showcase, and he's obviously not liking where I'm priced versus what he's seeing. So he's not seeing anything. And then he sees just a raw card over in one of my small showcases. It's a 2024, 2025. So last year's Rock Stars out of Topps Chrome, Nikola Jokic. I've got an $80 tag on it. Now, when I tagged it, the last sale was $30, but before that was $80, before that was $100. So in that situation, I'm going to kind of ignore the high and the low, tag it. The entirety of he and I's conversation was him seeing that card and going, "Would you take 65 for it?" And me going, "That's a fair offer. That's fine." So I pull the card out. He hands me $65 and I go on with my day. I'm pretty busy. Jason's walking, doing his thing, and I'm taking care of the table. And about an hour later, the kid shows back up. "Hey, can I get my money back?" "What? Can I get my money back?" No, I don't. No, that's not how this works. It's not my fault you couldn't walk around the room and flip the card. No,
did he tell you he was trying to flip it and he couldn't?
No, but that's obviously, I mean, what brings him back an hour later? Like, I'm making an assumption there, but
Okay, that's just checking.
yeah. And so he's like, well, it's a $15 card and you had $80 on it. I said, it's not a $15 card. And I said, and you didn't pay $80 for it. He's like, well, I thought it was this year's. Oh, so you thought you were getting a $200 card for $65. And now you're mad because you found another outlier comp that wasn't there when I priced it. And you made a mistake. So now it's my fault. No, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I can't give you a refund. So he stalks off. And within about 3 minutes, this older guy comes flying at our table. Now, this guy's a dealer. Comes flying at our table, yelling at me about how
so mad I missed it.
How I ripped his kid off and how I'm selling $15 cards for $80. And I'm in the middle of a deal as this is happening. And I just looked at him and went, yeah, that's not what happened. And then I went back to my deal. And I thought that was the end of it. And then he just kind of kept going. And so finally I said, sir, this is what happened. And he's huffing and puffing. Well, a few minutes later, the kid's back again. That's right. And he's mumbling. And I was like, buddy, I said, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. And at this point, his story has changed to his dad that I told him it was this year's, which obviously didn't occur. Right. And so now I'm getting actually pretty annoyed. And I was like, because our whole thing, like, you guys watch us, our entire brand is like, we're very transparent and very honest about how we do things. I think eventually the dad realized that his kid just done effed up. And because another one of our dealer friends heard him talking about it, and he heard him say to his kid, well, this is your fault. So eventually I think everything calmed down. But as a teaching moment for everybody involved, first, if your kid knows what he's doing and he makes a mistake, guess what? That's a valuable lesson. We've all done it. Every single one of us has bought a card that we thought was one thing. It was something else. It happens a lot, especially when you're moving large volumes of things. Secondly, teaching lesson for dad. If dad had come over to our table and said, hey man, I think my son really made a mistake here. He, and I know that that's not your fault, but he really, like, he thought it was this year's. And is there anything we can do here? Like, if that's the conversation that occurs, I'm one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to give them their money back and take my card back with the caveat, hey, I appreciate you making a mistake. I would say that my preference would be that here's your money, and then we just don't do any business in the future.
Sure.
Or number two, I say, hey, here's what I'd do. Let's go find the card on eBay. And if it's cheaper than what I sold it to you for on eBay available, I will give you the difference back. Does that seem fair? Like, there would have been a conversation about trying to make it right. But when somebody makes a mistake and then you come in yelling at me, you have shut off all end results that are going to be good for you. You know? So
it's not like
Jason wasn't even there for
that. The kid wasn't wrong that the value is down on the card.
Correct.
But the kid was also wrong that it didn't recently. Was it a recent 80 and 100 or just hasn't sold in a while?
No, within the last 4 sales of the card.
Okay.
Well, yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, you've got the last 4 or 5 sales of the card with a high of 100, and when I priced it, a low of 30.
Yeah.
Since I priced it, evidently another sale had gone off. If you,
I'm sure the new stuff made that one.
Yeah. If you're out here thinking that we're all rechecking every sub $100 card every week on pricing, we're not.
We can. On the liquid players that are moving up, I think a lot of dealers do that. But on, like, an unlicensed Jokic die cut, we typically are informed.
Yes. Yes.
Now, should we stay on top of our stuff? Yes, but sometimes with the time it gets a little bit crazy to do that with every card every week. But
correct.
Yeah, all I was going to say was I came back and you were like, a thing happened. I'll tell you in a minute. And I'm just like, oh, great. And I'm just looking around the room, and there's still attention over towards us. And I'm like, what did he do? Here he did it. He snatched somebody by the throat and lifted him off the ground. It happened. But this was not one of those days.
That wasn't that. But yeah, so that happened. Teachable moment for everybody involved. But
you ripped me off too.
How'd I rip you off?
Telling me to sit down at that Mississippi stud table.
I didn't tell you to. I was sitting there and you decided to come over and sit.
Well,
you were at a blackjack table that I had just gotten my teeth kicked in at, and you were doing just fine when I left that Mississippi stud table.
Yeah. We live and we learn. What I'm trying to say is love is blind. Hey, before we move on, I wanna do one of our fun little segments. We haven't done it in a few weeks. JT Triple Crown 24 started this segment out of the box where he's talking about little gems he finds out in the wild, why he picks them up and all that. We have another one of those segments for you. Let's take a look at it now.
Something that I am always cognizant of when I'm going through a value box is the particular serial number of any given card. This Miguel Cabrera card that you're seeing right there is numbered 24 of 60, which happens to be his jersey number. Personally, as a collector, I'm not one who gets all excited over jersey number. There's only one type of serial number that I get excited over because it's a date that means something to me. But otherwise, it's not really my cup of tea, but I know it is for a lot of people out there. It's not always a guarantee that you're going to get a premium for a card just because the serial number happens to be a jersey match, but there are collectors out there who do make that a priority for their collection, or they exclusively collect cards of their player where there is a jersey match. Other serial numbers that you can look for are, of course, the bookends. That would be your first on print, so a card that's 1 of 99, or the last on print, 100 of 100, for example. You can also look for stats on cards. A really popular one a couple years ago was when Ohtani had his 50-50 season. Cards that were serial numbered 50 of 50 were selling for ridiculous premiums over their fellow counterparts of the same card. You can also look for kind of unique ones that are maybe a little more time sensitive, like for example, Bam Adebayo, his 83-point game. Maybe cards that are numbered 83 out of 149, for example, may command a little bit more of a premium just because people want to remember that specific game that he had. A little bit more niche there, but it's something to always consider when you're looking through value boxes, is that a serial number can sometimes elevate a card that would otherwise probably be the same value as whatever it's stickered at.
Thanks, JT. Appreciate that. Be sure to give Triple Crown 24 a follow. A lot of great content. He does a breakdown mid negotiation where he like pauses the video and kind of gives his thought process and a lot of his content. So very educational, very helpful, rooted in experience, not just a random theory of somebody that's not engaged with what's going on in the space. So be sure to give him a follow on that. You know, Gary, we have a few weeks coming up here. I'm nervous. Like as this drops, you're on your way to your boat, right?
Yeah.
As
We're
this
probably
publishes, you're like,
sitting in the
yeah.
probably sitting in the airport in Columbus, fighting for my life through security.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
getting
Now
ready to
that's
get on a
going to be
plane.
a
Oh yeah, and I've heard that the port of Miami is just an absolute nightmare right now. So
that's
that'll
fun.
be fun too.
That's a fun time. That's a fun time.
Yeah.
We will be needing your support, people. I will be solo on Whatnot for a few weeks here. We've
Yep.
got several shows of that, so be sure to bookmark those. Come hang out with us. We do have a lot of fun stuff. Gary and I just made a purchase that's going to have our shows for the next few weeks, and there's a lot of really fun stuff in that. We both had a chance to take a look at it. We have an interview coming up here in just a little bit with Mario from Marz Cardz, an LCS story that begins back in the show scene. A couple of brothers. Can't wait to share that with you. But before we do that, we have one more stop that we need to make. In Delaware, Ohio, Keith Newhart at Newhart Cards for Shop Talk.
Hi, this is Keith at Newhart Cards, and this is Shop Talk. Been out of the shop for a few days with a little bit of R&R. I am back and ready to go. One of the first things I did is pull up Facebook, which is always a bad idea. And the first thread that I see is, are card shows dying? Are they slower now than they were 2 weeks ago? Right? And it just kind of got me thinking, listen, we've been in business 15 years. I've seen ups, I've seen downs, I've seen everything. 12 years ago, Panini took over Topps. The world is ending. Upper Deck can't do baseball anymore and such. So we moved past that, right? 2020, we have COVID. Boxes are $1,000. Nobody's ever going to buy a box. Nobody's ever going to pay $40 for a blaster. We moved past that, right? Now we're in the Fanatics is Evil scene. One fly. The Fanatics is Evil scene, right? Fanatics is taking over the world, and we're not going to be able to have this licensed or that licensed stuff. That's done. So now we're seeing shows are bad. people, put your feet on the ground, right? Go to a shop, go on to Whatnot, go to card shows, see what's really happening in the trenches. We're at the top of the market now. Enjoy it, right? One of my favorite movies, one of the best quotes is "Get busy living or get busy dying," right? So, stay out of the Facebook threads about he said, she said, and go visit yourself, enjoy it. We love what we do, and have fun with it, right? This has been Keith at New Heart Cards, and this is Shop Talk.
All right, thanks, Keith. Be sure that you give Keith a follow. Go check him out in Delaware, Ohio. If you're ever passing through, there's always going to be some good signals in there and some fun stuff to pick up.
All right, so we've got coming up now something that we've been planning for a few months, and it's gotten pushed back for different reasons, and we finally, all the stars have aligned. You've probably seen them on your social media if you consume any sports card content at all. They do tons of great content around the shop and the shows that they do. They are just as busy, if not busier than we are. We're super happy to bring Mario from Marz Cardz in Cleveland, Ohio, onto the Ballcard show.
Live in studio, Mario, Marz Cardz in the Ballcard show. It's been a long time coming. We're glad to have you with us.
How you doing, fellas?
Doing great. Like Jason said, we've been trying to get the stars aligned for this one for a few months now, and we finally got you. You're over being sick. You gave it to Jason, so he's fighting for his life. I can't even say you gave it to Jason because you were fighting for the end of it when we were in Bronco Bash this last weekend, and
sure.
Jason got it from his wife. So.
Sorry, I thought it was the one handshake I gave him this week.
He has already started it when we were on our way out there. There's nothing better than knowing you're going on vacation in a week and getting in a car with your best friend and business partner to drive 3.5 hours in just an airtight container, and him going, "Yeah, man, I think I'm getting sick." Oh, great, thanks. This is gonna be fun.
No windows down, just hotboxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when you had a corporate gig where you just do a thing where you call and be like, "Hey, I'm sick today." Remember those days?
Oh yeah, I do. No more of that. No
Sometimes
more of that.
you miss that.
No time to be sick anymore. We don't get to slow down and stop.
Power through everything.
Well, I'll jump in with this. I noticed this orange banner every time we were setting up as we started, branching out of the smaller local scene and starting to do more regional shows on a regular basis. And I see this dude is set up every time. And Marz Cardz, obviously the branding's fantastic, logo and all that kind of stuff. But you always seem to be having a fun time at shows.
Yes.
And you can see there's a couple lanes of people that are doing it for work, people that love it and people that are just getting through it, right? And you seem to really enjoy this stuff. So over time, a few conversations got rolling, and I was like, man, I really want the people to hear your story. So we'll shut up here a minute. We want to hear the story, the genesis of Marz Cardz. Where'd you start, and how did you get to where you are today?
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that. So I think our story, it's pretty similar to a lot of the collectors out there. When we were younger, obviously we were heavy into sports cards. It really started with like WWE figures. That's how I was huge into wrestling when I was little. So, I had the thumb wrestlers. I'm older, so you got the thumb wrestlers and you got the WWE figures. And as I, kind of continued the collecting journey, got into baseball and football, and it was just it was an immediate passion for me. So I absolutely dove head first into it. Tons of stuff at the house. And I think like everybody else, we kind of fell off a little bit as we got older, got into the high school and college stuff. It fell off a lot. And then, married, got kids. And then as my son got older, he started to get into collecting. Right. So we'd go to the local card shop and start, grabbing boxes here and there. And back when he was collecting, man, a box of a hobby was $100. And I'm like, dude, we got to pump the brakes, man. This is $100. This is $100, dude, for a hobby box with 5 autos in it. I know it's fun, but we had to pump the brakes. But we had a lot of fun with it. And, we'd be putting binders together, and the itch kind of kept growing and growing. And then I'll segue to my brother-in-law, who's the, other half owner here. We started talking about cards, my nephew and son, and then I didn't know that they were into it at all. So we're like each collecting, having no idea that we both, love the hobby together. And as that came together, we started going to stores together and buying stuff together and ripping with the sons. And the cool part about it was we never expected this, right? We never expected that. We just had a blast collecting. I remember us being on FaceTime and you know, pulling packs together, and we're both places here and there. We're both going crazy. Oh my gosh, we pulled this. Um, and then we're like, okay, so we have way too many cards right now, right? We have way too many cards, and we were selling stuff and looking through eBay. And kind of got into the little fun eBay selling to try to fund our hobby, right? And as we did that, we're like, you know what, dude? We have so much on each side. Why don't we just put it together, put all our stuff together and start selling together, right? And we saw just this crazy influx of sales happening for us. And we're talking like, we were putting, 50-cent cards on there and dollar cards on there and 10-cent cards on there. But little by little, it was stacking up for us, to where we were like, okay, maybe we should do something with this, right? So we started to make like fun YouTube. Back in the day, you'll see like really, really wildly not professional YouTube stuff of us opening packs, and we're sitting there in our little 10 by 10 maintenance room with a flipped over poker green felt mat, putting stuff out there and making YouTube videos. But I think the biggest thing was when we created our Instagram together. And back in the day, you didn't have like whatnots, and you didn't have like those, selling platforms. That wasn't a thing. So we were early on into the Instagram, like stories and Instagram lives. That was our big thing, was doing Instagram lives. And little by little, we started to see the content kind of go here and the following go there. And it really just kind of sparked something in us, as like, I think this is something we can, kind of ride the wave on. That was the big part. It was never did we think, hey, we want to, create this, really fun atmosphere. We always wanted to create a fun atmosphere, but we didn't have Marz Cardz in mind at all. It was just a fun, our real names was on the Marz Cardz personal account when we first started.
So when you started that process, you were selling on eBay, you're kind of doing this. Did you just go straight from being eBay sellers and content folks into opening a shop? Or was there a bridge there where it was like starting to do a lot of shows? Because I think there's a lot of people who are where, maybe not where Jason and I are now, but where you guys were when you were doing the eBay stuff, thinking about going to shows. Ideally, one day they want to own a brick and mortar, if it makes sense. What did that bridge look like for you guys to then, we're doing this? When did you know, hey, we've done this enough, let's pull the trigger on a brick and mortar? Because that's a huge, huge commitment that I don't think a lot of people understand. Like, you're signing usually a 5-year commercial lease. Like, you're doing all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I guess like, just like anybody, it was like, we had no idea, like background wise. We had friends in the hobby, but we didn't have anybody that we could lean on to start. You know what I'm saying? Like we started with the eBay stuff, and then that really started, kind of exploding for us. So to your guys' point, yeah, we really looked into like the local card shop or the local card show scene, right? And I would say, the wild part is that we didn't even go to card shows before we even set up. It was like just a new experience for us setting up. Didn't know how the flow worked. Didn't know how to set up any.
Your first show was one you set up at?
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome,
So
man.
it was the very first. We didn't go in and do any research or say, hey, let's go see what this kind of stuff's all about. No, we just sat down with no card display, no showcases. It was like we're very creative, so we had like cardboard boxes that were stacked and set up, and our cards were like flowed across them there this way, and then they were on the table that way. And as we kind of walked around and looked at everybody, we're like, wow, we are so out of place right now. This is insane. And I don't think we had those massive cards like everyone kind of starts out. You walk to every table and there's $800, $900,000 cards here and there. It was, the $5 that was laid out with a little sticker, and the $6, and then, the $15. But the cool part was, the first time we had ever set up, we were there crazy early, and we didn't know that other vendors walk over and buy from you, right? We had no idea. This is like, oh, this is a thing. Like, are we doing this right now? Okay.
I smell blood in the water.
Down. Yeah, right. And so we're sitting there, and they just started stacking stuff, and picking stuff up. And hey, could we do deals here and there? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. Next thing we know, a lot of our product was gone before we even set up at our very first show. So like, okay, we're looking at each other. We got the right stuff here. I think we can expand on this. yeah, so then we would start to, again, I'll pump back just a little bit. We have a really fun dynamic. So my brother-in-law lives out in Indiana, right? So he had engineering background. So he moved out to Indiana, originally from Cleveland, like I am. So him and my sister-in-law and the kids moved out to Indiana probably like 6, 7 years ago, maybe even longer. It was a while ago. So our dynamic was really fun. He's setting up and I'm driving out to Fort Wayne and Warsaw and all those little shows. And then he's driving out here to Strongsville and Middleburg Heights. These are all local to my shop here in
Yep.
Brunswick, with all within a 10-15 mile radius. So we would drive back and forth and find all these little fun shows to set up at. And like, again, we have a fun dynamic. As we continue to grow is where we saw the opportunity for bigger shows. But to get back to the point, yes, we started out at the very, very small shows. And as we're doing it, the love of what we were doing started to escalate crazy, right? And we were sitting there one day after a show and kind of threw the idea out of like, what about a card shop? And like, that's when we both at the same time kind of like light bulb and eyeballs, like, dude, I wanted to say this too. Like, card shop is my dream. As I was little, I always wanted to have a card shop. Little did I know it would be with, you know, my brother-in-law and the nieces and nephews and sons and daughters all helping out here. But as we continue to do shows, we would slowly put aside for it, right? We're putting aside for, hey, down the road we're going to need product, down the road we're going to need merchandising, down the road we're going to need cases and wall shelves and all that. So we were putting away for it, and we never really had a concrete date, right? It was just, let's go to each show, don't worry what we have, we're just going to keep stacking and keep stacking and keep stacking. All the while both of us having full-time 50, 60 hour a week jobs. I was in the retail space and, managerial spot for almost 25 years. So I have that background in the customer service, and I love talking to people, and I love engaging. That's the best part about, having this shop, is the engagement that I have on a daily basis, and making it, I always say, to making it a memorable experience. They're going to remember who Marz Cardz is when they leave here. So as we continue to grow, I live in a smaller. I mean, Brunswick's a suburb of Cleveland. It's a decent sized town. But we always had this one little spot we were watching. Right, there's one spot in this city that, as I would drive by or drop the kids off somewhere, I'm like, that's an ideal spot for a starter. And it was always in the back of my head. So one day we're driving down the street and a for lease sign pops up into it, and it was an immediate U-turn. Right? So I turn the car around, go up there, call the phone number that's listed on there. Nobody answers. I did this for about 3 straight days. Nobody was answering, right? So went to the neighbor next door, one of the, I think it was an insurance agency. He gave me the direct line to this, to the landlord.
Sure.
Got in touch with them and asked for a meeting and a setup to go inside there. And that day, we handshook on where, and this is what we're going to do. Like, we didn't waste the space. It was about a 300 square foot, shop for our, again,
Yeah.
we always talk about organically building. We're not going to go crazy into this. We're going to see how it goes. It was a 300 square foot spot that we actually asked if we actually did some demolition in there to open it up. It was you walk in and you walked about maybe 10 to 15 feet, and there was a door into another room.
Yeah.
And we
Tear
had
that
asked
wall out.
we asked, could we tear this wall down? Is that a thing? And they were very hesitant on it, but they said yes, and we did it. So it opened up to our very first card shop there. A little small L-shaped. You walked in, a little L shape here, and straightforward, and that's it. There was no corners. There was no storage room. It was a bathroom and about maybe a 5x5 storage space inside. It was wild. But yeah, so to get back to how we how we came about it, we were constantly putting little stuff away and never announced it. We never, our social media, as we were going, we were doing the videos and we were recording ourselves at all of the shows, and that a great following there. But we never announced anything. We never said, hey, coming soon. It was work, 8 to 6:30, and then from 7 to midnight, we're in there painting and doing new stuff to it and ordering and putting fixtures together. And again, the butterflies that we were going through of knowing a dream is about to happen was the really cool part. And it was it was that great part. And kind of circle back as far as from shows and how we also generated revenue was in end of 2020 into 2021, we were doing a lot of online breaks. And that was helping fund a ton of stuff as well. We were on IG Live like crazy, right? So it
2020
was,
Instagram breaks. You were ahead of the curve, buddy.
we were on there. Yeah. We were in 2020, 2021, 2022. We kept going through it. And then the cool part is like, not the cool part, but this is what you, this is as a, you know, a dream chaser for your hobby shop that you're looking for. It was, you know, we're at work at 6 a.m. We're there till 6 p.m. He's jumping on live because we have a live at 7. So he's in Indiana. Guys, Mario's a little late today. Sorry about that. I have the product. He doesn't. So he's jumping on and talking and letting him know I'm a little late today. You know, because as a manager, you never leave. You can't leave. You can't just leave your shop. You can't just leave what you're doing. So yeah, we were doing the Instagram breaks. And so from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm at the 9 to 5 job, actually the 12-hour job, and then coming home and immediately getting ready to do breaks from 7 to however long it takes, 8 to however it takes.
People don't understand. This is a 70, 80 hour a week gig if you're doing it full time. It doesn't really matter whether you own a shop, whether you're just doing shows, whether it's whatnot. You're sourcing, you're selling, you're constantly working on social media stuff. So when you guys did the shop, what was the year that you guys opened that first small shop?
The first small shop was summer of 2022.
Okay, so right at the tail end of the boom, of the COVID boom, was when you opened the shop.
Yes.
So that's really interesting because you opened the shop at the tail end of an environment where it felt like if you bought a card on Tuesday, it was worth more on Saturday. Right? Like that's 100%. What that period was.
Yeah.
So
that was fun.
It was, but you opened the doors to a shop right as that is about to come to a real correction point. Because from late 2022 into early 2024, everything kind of just went about a 50% correction.
Yes.
So what did you find was the key to you guys maintaining a constant revenue stream and being able to put yourself in a position to be where you are now, navigating a hobby that was in a downturn?
For sure. And I think that our business model still hasn't changed from where we're at when we started to where we're at. It was having product that's affordable for everybody, right? So we were in that range of dollar box. The value boxes were so important to us, right? Those value boxes of having, you know, it's behind me right now, but having 30 to 44 rows that people can come in and sit down and go through these. These are things that and the great part about those value boxes when we first started, that was all stuff we had ripped for 3-4 years.
It was sunk cost. It was already there.
We're already there. We were, you know, sunk into those. That was ours. And little by little, our model never changed. It was always, we want somebody to leave with something when they walk in the shop, right? So there's a price point for everybody. We had really fun wall cases that had those $10 to $15, $20 cards, right? And those would just be flying through. And like you said, the climate of the hobby, you know, nobody knows that downturn's coming, but you know, at some point it can't sustain where it was at, right?
Yep.
So to jump into those $500 cards and $1,000 cards, and yeah, it's cool to have those in your shop, but that's museum-like. We want to move this. We're not a museum. We move our stuff, right? We price it correctly. We buy it in lots so that when I'm pricing it, it's exactly what it should be priced at, right?
Yeah.
And people started noticing that, like, dude, these are great prices. Well, yeah, I buy in bulk. So when I buy in bulk, I can price that stuff out great for everybody, right? And so that's
you're not setting your own comp on eBay to argue against.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's sitting there, and to start, you know, we didn't have, you know, we weren't Fanatics. We weren't with Fanatics, right? We weren't with Panini. So it was sourcing product through eBay and through, you know, friends that may have had, you know, a small brick and mortar that had some extra stuff. Hey guys, do you have anything that you could, you know, kind of let us have? So it was a lot of blasters, and it was a lot of product that wasn't popular. There was hockey, and
stuff
there was
from DealerNet. You're like, what scraps
absolutely.
do other people have that I can buy?
Yes. What is going way down in price and nobody likes? I'm buying it. So, and to have that, again, we talked about we were within our means and we were building organically. We didn't have six figures to make this great shop, right? We wanted to build organically. It started with, 2 6-foot shelves, and it grew to 2 8-foot shelves, and it grew to 3 shelves. You know what I'm saying? As we grew and as the product continued to flow for us, that's when we added more stuff to our shop, and that's how we continued to grow. We always talk about growing organically, whether it's here at the old shop and now at this shop, we're still adding small stuff to it. We don't have to put that massive revenue into that shop to start. And that's how we started back in, 2022. But I think the big thing was there wasn't in our area, and just like everywhere else, there's a lot of shops that have been around for 30 years, 40 years. It's just that older, great places to go, nostalgic places to go, but it wasn't that welcome in and come hang out and come talk. Let's talk sports. You don't even have to buy anything. We're engaging with everybody. It's our personality, the same way that I am in a card shop. Our card show is how I'm at my shop. Like, we're engaging, we're talking, we're, it's not a point of sale here. You can come in and sit down and, let's dig through a dollar box and spend hours just BSing about stuff.
Yeah.
That word of mouth got out really quickly about, a small little shop in Brunswick that's, a little different than the other ones.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump in here real quick. You keep using this term organic, and I think that there's really something special here that I'm going to try to pry out of you. I think you're going to give that to us.
Yeah.
You're in a management role. Your brother-in-law has got an engineering background.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing what's happening in the card space. What you're doing is working. Surely at some point you both looked at each other and said, should we just bankroll this and go? Should we just go find the funding and just dump on it and go? But you chose not to. And I don't think it was just about, could we find some money? I think there was a reason. But my assumption is you'd have missed out on a lot that you needed to learn. But what do you think you would have shortcutted that would have hurt you just by dumping money on this from day one, going for a big shop,
Sure,
chasing all of them?
Yeah. I think we would have really missed the grind and the work we put into it. And that becomes special when you see the growth from day one to where we're at now. So when we first started that shop, it was a 4-day a week. We're open at 3:30 to 7. You know what I'm saying? The hours were really small. I was still working, full time. And my wife, God bless her, was in the shop and would open the shop for me. And then when I got off of work, ran home, changed, and then shot for the last 2 hours. So building that and bringing her in, she has no idea still what cards are, but she's again, can talk to anybody. She's my love. She's definitely, when you don't have that blessing, you can't go as hard as you possibly can. Right.
Yeah.
So we saw the incremental growth of just me working all the way until 5:30 and then jumping from 6 to 8, you know what I'm saying? And working in the shop. And at that point we were like, we've got something special here. What if I just went head first? Right. We were starting to make some, little revenue here and there where we were able to pay each other, out of what we've built at the shop. And I feel like if Mario went 100%, we can take this to another level. Because I was at like 20%, really, right?
Yeah.
The weekends, I was working the weekends, right? No days off.
Been
up
there.
until right? No days off, no hours off, always thinking about what's next. But I'm like, if I can dedicate 100% of what I can do and what I can put into this shop, we're not going to lose. I just know it. That's the confidence I had. That's the not the cockiness, but the confidence in what I can do. And
it was rooted in what you were saying. It's because the work was showing evidence. It wasn't that you just parachuted in and said, okay, I'm planting a flag here. This is,
it's okay. It's okay to be a little bit cocky when you know what you know. Like, one of the things that drives me nuts is when people look at somebody like, oh, he's being cocky. Well, it's only cocky in the sense of being annoying if you can't back it up. Otherwise, it's just really strong confidence. And there's nothing wrong with being that confident when you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And now you guys have moved from that small shop into a bigger shop, a shop that's becoming well-known, not just regionally, but nationally. You guys do a lot of great content. But here's the thing that I've noticed is that you guys are still, to this day, I don't know if it's every weekend, but it damn sure feels like we see you at almost every show
Yeah,
that
for
we're
sure.
set up at.
Yeah.
So you guys are running a shop full time. I don't know whether you're 6 days or 7 days a week, but
Yeah.
then you're also at least a day, if not 2 days every weekend at
And
a
a quick
show.
reminder, those of you that live on the coasts, like northern Indiana and Cleveland look kind of close together on a map, but they're actually
not.
more than a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of
They
a
are
hike.
not close, especially for a
and-
guy who hates driving. They are
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
close.
Well, at least Jason has me to chauffeur him around.
Yeah.
But in general, you guys are doing that and you're at these shows all the time. And when I ask you about it, you were like, well, here's our thought process on this. We're going to try them all
Mhm.
and we'll keep the good ones on the schedule. I don't know
Yeah.
whether that's the long-term plan until you get the full schedule kind of hammered out to where you know over the course of a year, here's where we're going to be. But tell us a little bit of how you view the show scene versus the LCS scene and how they feed into and support each other.
For sure. The importance of the show scene and the LCS is, I think, way bigger than people imagine, right? There's a lot of shows. So there's a lot of shows in the Cleveland area, not massive shows, but they're fun, smaller shows, which are very important. And you guys, as you see now, right now is insane for shows. Like it's, shoulder to shoulder. in
Ohio,
places.
it's crazy.
It's
Like there's
Ohio. It's
10
nuts
shows every
right now.
weekend. Yeah.
Every single weekend, and they're always packed, and there's always big. And we started out when it wasn't packed, right? It was just us sitting down, and maybe you got a flow of 50, 60 customers or people.
You're happy to do
walking through the doors.
$1,000 that Saturday.
Yeah, dude. We're barely making table costs. But it got our name out locally, which was awesome. And that's what our big thing was. Yeah, we weren't making crazy money, but we were making connections in the area. And that was huge for us. So especially in the Cleveland area, within a probably 50-mile radius, you can cross off, I don't know, seven shows a month. It's insane. It's insane. Like if you want to go east and west and south, you're going to find a show that's happening monthly, and you can hit 4 of them in one weekend, so that's always been the great part is we were able to get our name out there. We were able to, hey, here's Marz Cardz, here's this, here's that. But what we decided to do was, here, you know what? I'll take it back just a little bit. We used to break a lot, right? So we were on Whatnot very early. So we were in on Whatnot in 2021 is when they kind of started reaching out to us, 2022. That was back in the day where they were vetting you. We were having one of these. We were having a Zoom call.
When I first opened our Whatnot account, I had to go through all this. Yeah.
You had to go through all of that. Now it's like you have cards. Yeah, go ahead. You can start your stream tomorrow, know, and it's a Wild West kind of happening right now, right? So as we continue to grow our shop in the small shop, we were like, we don't have product to have on the shelf and break all the time, right? So if we decided to break and we had a great night, there's nothing on the shelves for our customers. And that meant a lot to us to make sure that when a customer came in, they had product. So we made a decision. We don't want to break. We're going to pump the brakes on breaking, right? So our product kept getting bigger and customers kept coming in and they kept buying stuff. So our decision was, how about we just pump the brakes, period? I don't have to sit there and grind 7 hours a night and then go through. If I would have done 7 different breaks with 30 different people in it, I now have 200 new orders that I have to, do the next morning, or I'm staying up till 4 a.m. and I got to work at 6. It's like, so we pumped the brakes on that. And we thought, like, what if we just supplemented it with going to shows? Maybe we do some shows twice a month, and that could supplement what the breaking side of it was. Little did we know we would stumble upon places like Shipshawana, and Shipshawana is a mega show in the north, in the Midwest. And we started just like everybody else. We started on a waiting list for a year or two, right? And then one day Brad had called us and he's like, guys, I got a weird scenario. Like there's a little bit of grass outside in the front. Would you guys want to set up a tent out in the front
at the barn? Right by that food truck. Yeah.
We 100%. We'll do whatever we want to get on there. So we were I think we were the first, along with another couple of vendors, to be under the tent as people walked in to the old red barn. We had the Bluetooth cranking music and welcoming and with the food trucks right next to us. It felt like a little party outside, and Brad was absolutely loving it and, got us to the inside, and then eventually now to where it's at the Michiana Event Center and 500 tables. And so, circling back to like how we integrate our LCS into to card shows, those same guys that are circling card shows in a Cleveland area in a suburb, the moment that's over, are circling right to the LCSs to kind of see if it wasn't a great show, they're in here. If it was a great
Yeah.
show and they want to sell to me, you know what I'm saying? So that integration of having a LCS in an area in a 20-mile, 30-mile radius of 10 to 15 shows started pulling everything towards us at the shop, right?
Mhm.
And that's, again, the wheel started turning. Like, what if we just set some weekends aside to go to some bigger shows and we can supplement revenue at a big show and bring it right back to the shop? And it started working really well for us. So for us, we're lucky enough to have, my son is, at the time he was 18, 19, now he's 21, 22. So he would be able to run the shop for us. And he does still to
Yeah.
this day. He's running the shop for us while we're out of town. And we're able to do that same exact shop open, doing well at the show, doing well. And we can bring it all together and continue to, help fund and revenue our shop continually.
So it's pretty clear through the marketing and just the growth of the shop now that you've kind of really hit stride with the content, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is something that sounds silly to people newer to the space, but this was not a given with an LCS even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of LCSs that have been established for a long time really didn't place as much of a priority on social reach as much as I have cards, you need cards. This is where you'll come get the cards, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Fanatics steps in. We now have direct accounts. The allocation game is very different than it used to be.
Sure.
You hear of a lot of turnover. You hear of like town hall meetings where there's expectations. Fanatics wants a shop to look like this and to do that. But you're telling a story of like, hey, we came up in this time. We grew this thing organically.
Mhm.
We have established a relationship with Fanatics. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Somebody that's genuinely positive, that's kind of built this out, that didn't just parachute in.
Yeah.
Like, what is Fanatics looking for in 2026 from an LCS? What do they want? What do they want? Because that seems to be what a lot of people are fussing about.
Yeah. Yeah. So we came in, it couldn't have been more perfect time for us to get in and say, we're going headfirst into a card shop, right? We had a really small shop. We, like I said, we're sourcing from everywhere, and we just got that email from Tops, and Fanatics at you welcome to our Tops Direct. And that was the pivotal hugging and
Yeah, man.
jumping all over the place for
Oh,
us.
yeah.
As a small card shop that
Yeah.
they had even come in, when, and it, again, another perfect storm. 2023 was the National was in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting all of those people into our tiny shop, right? So,
Yeah.
the head of all those fun places had stopped into Marz Card shop, right? And they were shoulder to shoulder. If there was like 5 people in our shop, it was hot. It started to get a little hot in there. It was tiny, it was a little sweat, and they came through. They loved the aesthetic of the shop, but to take it to a next level, that's where our brain's like, okay, this is awesome, but we're always looking for something bigger, right? So getting it straight from the mouth of Fanatics of this was in 2023. Hey, Card Shop 2.0. This is what it should look. This is what we're trying to gear towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had that, but we had it in an old look. Our shop, had the vinyl panels all around it. It was cool, and it was a fun, cozy little spot. But in from 2023 to 2026, and to answer your question is Tops wants and Fanatics wants their brand everywhere. They want it everywhere. They want it on every swipe of Instagram, every swipe of TikTok, they want it everywhere. So for us, we've always been involved in social media. That's how we've gained our traction. Like back in like I said, we were doing this in 2019, 2020. So right where we're at now, it's been just a consistent every single day. Something matters that is in my shop that I'm going to video or record or talk about. And for Fanatics, what they're looking for is probably to hear the word Fanatics or Tops in every single swipe
Okay.
of an Instagram post or of a to see their product being open, to see it on people's walls, and seeing the kids opening the Series 1 and popping up and seeing celebrations. And that's the only way they're going to be able to move forward and continue to grow the hobby, is to see it every single swipe. And
So-
for those shops that aren't doing that,
Mm.
they're on the back burner, man. They really are.
Yeah.
They're
That
on the
does
back
seem to
burner.
be a priority, that they're like not only trying to elevate what shops are doing now, but even to the point of like, hey, for those of you that just aren't doing this and also have no further interest
Yeah.
in
Yes. Yeah.
growing this with us, doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of interest in continuing to work together, because in their mind, that's not working together. Sorry, Gary, I
No,
interrupted
that's
you.
okay. I want to ask you the same question then, Mario, that we asked Keith a few months ago at Newhart
Sure.
when we interviewed him. And it sounds like the answer is going to be yes, but I'd like you to flesh it out.
Yeah.
One of the complaints that I hear from LCS owners when it comes to that Fanatics relationship is that to a lot of them, it feels like Fanatics wants all the benefits of a franchise relationship without providing the same support that you would get from a franchisor. Have you found that if you actually do the things that they want you to do, that they provide that level of support? Or is it just kind of like, we got to do this to make sure that we're staying front of mind?
Yeah. I think it's twofold, right?
Okay.
It's a twofold answer. Yes, I think that the benefits aren't there as a franchise that you would get as a franchise, as far as consistent communication, as far as elevated product allocation. Just like anybody, everyone needs allocation. Everybody
Yeah.
needs more stuff, right? We all do.
Sure.
Everybody does. Even though what you're out, you need more of that. But I think that what we've seen is not do. I wouldn't say not doing everything. We're not going to be at the Tops conference this week. That's probably something that's a little bigger for them. But when you're doing it on an Easter weekend, and we're very family oriented, and we're very, uh, our values are huge, and like a Easter weekend to not be with my family is not going to happen.
Right.
And that's their Tops conference, so it's twofold. See how that goes. You never know. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're not going to be there. But at the same time, yeah, we buy everything. We don't say no.
Mhm.
And we're seeing more stuff coming to the shop, right?
Mhm.
We are seeing it. We're seeing maybe a shop that's in the area not getting a hobby that we got, or a second wave that we got. So yeah, I think it is twofold for sure. We are seeing the benefits of the yeses, but
Playing ball. Yeah.
of playing ball, right?
Yeah.
But we're also, again, not seeing everything we want to see out of a direct partnership with Tops. And that means whether it's having all of the advertisement that they want. Send me the things. Don't make me pay for all the advertisements that you got. Send that to me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, let's do this. I'll promote it, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay for it. What are you going to make me pay for that? I'm direct with you. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is twofold for sure. It is. It's something that, and you never know where it's gonna go. Tomorrow is the last day of Panini ever, or today's the last day Panini will ever have a a
Licensed
football
product.
licensed product with football. So tomorrow is a whole new day, guys. We
Yeah.
don't know what's happening.
It's a day we've all been kind of looking forward at for 3 or 4 years now, and now it's here, and it's like, okay,
and it's here.
let's
And that's
see
one
where
of
we
those
land.
things. Yeah, and that's one of those things too, as a small shop that's building and building for the last 3+ years. Tomorrow is the day we look forward to, because now we're on even playing field with everybody, as far as like
Yeah.
with
You don't
the
have to worry
Panini
about
Direct.
Panini Directs, or even a old school Southern or GTS account where you kind of still got some of the benefits of being there for 20 years. All that
Yes.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly the right exact words that we have been saying. It's like we're on even playing field at a spot with Tops, and we feel very comfortable where we're moving forward. That was always been a big thing, because there are local places around here that can put Panini stuff at better prices than us, just because of being direct with them. We just can't do that when you're with a distributor.
Yeah.
You're with but now being direct, and it puts us on a playing field with everybody that we feel very confident. We talk about the confidence, like feel very confident of the next wave of Marz Cardz.
So when you are thinking about the growth that you've had, the new space, you've got the direct account, you're growing. One thing I think that sets you apart in an area where you're talking about there being a lot of saturation, 10, 12 shows a weekend up in that area.
Yeah.
Is you have unapologetically been like, hey, we are here for the community. Our branding is going to be consistent with the city of Cleveland.
Yep.
And we have a buddy of ours that we used to do Facebook breaks with back in the day Vic from Boomtown Sports Cards in San Antonio that
Okay.
took a very similar approach where it's like,
About the same timeline as you too.
yeah,
Okay.
he doubled down and said, "I'm here for the community." And
Yeah.
he like it was, what can I do to be involved and represent the community as a local card shop? And
For
I
sure.
think it may not be spelled out by fanatics, but they seem to be lapping that up whenever they see it happening with a shop.
Sure.
How does an LCS actually do that? I mean, it sounds grandiose to people like us that love cards, but like,
Yeah.
what does it mean for a local card shop to represent a community?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Cleveland born and raised. I've always been here forever. It's a town of blue collar, hard hat, just a gritty city, man. Doesn't get the respect it always does. And even in the card space, like there's a lot of phenomenal card shops around here, but we don't get that same, kind of love in this area. And that's something that when we started, it was like, we're going to try to put Cleveland as one of those places as a destination spot. And that includes it. We go crazy when it comes to supporting the kids in this area. Like it's never a no, it's how much you need. What's going on? We are involved in the local baseball league. We sponsor that league. We sponsor the soccer. We sponsor the Dairy Queen stuff. We have baskets for every single raffle that you guys need. And we want to make sure that if it's something that evolves with the youth in this area, that we're going to be involved with it, right?
Mm.
It's a place that people love to just come in and hang out at our shop. It's awesome. Like the parents that tell us that the kids, they can't wait to come to Marz Cardz. Yesterday, I forgot it was spring break. I'm like, why is it crazy in here today? It's Monday. What the hell's happening? And it was just kids everywhere. Yes. And there's a blast. And that kind of stuff resonates with us as far as being able to help. Being in the position to help is huge. Actually doing it is massive. You know what I'm saying? And that's huge for us. So the advertisement that we put everywhere, the golf outings that are all around here, the wingdings that are all around there, you're going to see Marz Cardz, some kind of representation at all of those. We're going to have a whole banner. We're going to have a basket. We have our banners at all of the youth football or baseball facilities around here, right in center field. Like we make a great donation, have fun there, show up for their opening day with free packs for all the kids, and go to the tournaments and all that kind of stuff. Just really is massive for us as far as not just getting Marz Cardz out locally, but spreading throughout the Cleveland area and into the next county and down South County and keep moving. And it's been fantastic to see Saturdays and Sundays be a destination spot for customers to have those 40-minute drives. And now I'm coming from an hour and a half away. I saw you guys on TikTok. I'm like, man, I only posted like one TikTok 3 months ago, and they're following us on TikTok. And, just fun, cool stuff like that. And to be able to see me when you walk in is cool. Like, they see me on the video and like, oh, I didn't even know you would be here, man. I'm like, I own the shop, dude. I'm here. Like, this is what we do. Yeah. And they're, and when I'm not here, it's more like, oh man, he's not here. It's like, he's at a show. And so we try to, really, wear Cleveland on our chest. Everything that we do is Cleveland. The hat, the shirts, the tees. We talk about it. Cleveland, this is our city. We enjoy it. We want people to come up and see it too.
I think if I'm fanatics and I'm listening to this, I am taking note because I think this is something that a lot of LCSs are missing. And here's what I mean by that. I think there is a tendency sometimes with a lot of these newer LCS direct accounts that I have the LCS to grow the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that their passion necessarily is. The dream was the brick and mortar, and we grew it to this. So once it's here, it's firmly rooted in the community.
Yeah.
A lot of times it feels like the shop is leveraged for more online reach, social reach, breaking reach, live selling reach as the end game. But here it sounds like everything else is funneling this experience that's rooted in the community. Yeah. That was like the most 90s sounding thing ever, sponsoring the Little League team, the bowling league. Like, I remember when local business made that a priority. Yeah. I always had my Little League hat from the local shop that sold the Cons high tops from the late 80s. They didn't have any new shoes, but they always gave everybody a fresh trucker cap for Little League. And so you went to Queens, right? I think everybody remembers a time when the local shop invested in the local community and just wanted to be a consistent presence.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of a lost art anymore.
For sure. And from the ground up, when we started Marz Cardz, we came in and we had a fun Instagram and a great social media following, right? That's all well and fun, like having that national thing. If we're going to survive, we have to be big locally.
Yeah.
And that's our biggest.
Yeah.
That's what you'll see out of Marz Cardz forever. The national stuff is super fun, connecting with a lot of cool people and people that I never
Mhm.
thought would know who we are. That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
But I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm in Brunswick, Ohio. I have to make sure that Brunswick, Ohio, and Cleveland, Ohio gets every bit of Marz Cardz. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And just
Yep.
continues to build that and build that out. That's how we are going to survive. We don't do the breaks. Like my number one question, I swear, one of the number, are you guys on Whatnot? Like, no, we're not on Whatnot. That's everyone's. The breaking and the Whatnot thing is wild. Like, I'm talking like 7-year-old kids. You on Whatnot, guys? Are you on Whatnot? Like, we're not, man. Why not? Like, hey, we enjoyed this part of it. We've
Yeah.
done that part, and if we ever need it, maybe we will. We never know. We're never going to say no to that if we need it. It's there. We have a great following there. If we wanted to jump on, we can. But for us, the local scene, and for us to survive as a brick and mortar around here needs to know me.
Yeah.
They need to know me around here.
Yeah.
And that's what we really dig our heels in, and how we, there's not many no's when it comes to around this area that people come in, and, especially those who support us are going to get massively supported as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what's on the horizon? What do you have cooking up? Because you're not somebody that likes to sit still. We know
for sure.
this at the end of this conversation. You're always got something that you're working on. So what's coming up?
I think we always talk about just bigger shows. We don't do any bigger, like massive. You know what I'm saying? We haven't done Dallas. We haven't done Nashville. We haven't done, these bigger, real big shows. And those are some that, eventually down the road, we'd like to do that. Out in the actual like card show space, in the shop space, it's continually to organically build. It's continually another shelving unit goes up, another wall case goes up. Our trade nights are becoming insane here. We're about to announce one today. I'm going to announce the next one for this month. And it's one of the number one DMs we get. When's the next trade night? When's the next trade night? We couldn't walk. We had people lined up outside the door. There could have been a shutdown if a fire marshal went through our last trade night, which was awesome. And that's, people still talk about that to this day. They're still
I
talking
saw your
about the
rip
last
night
one.
videos. Your rip
Dude,
night video was crazy.
It was nuts, man. And those
Yeah.
type of things, to bring a community together and ask, hey, where are you guys coming from? They're driving an hour and a half. They're driving 45 minutes. It's not just the local scene. So continue to build those trade nights into just a great destination night for everybody. And then again, building on next level in our shop when it comes to non-sport stuff, right? We do incredible with the football, baseball, basketball, the Marvel and the Star Wars and the Pokemon and the One Piece, and just building that side of it. We never really even touched that part, and where we're at. So always looking for that next, what's next? Like you just asked me, that's what we're always talking about. What's next? What's our next move?
So
Can't stay still. Can't stay stagnant.
yeah, that's kind of how we are. Last question. And then once you answer this question, tell the people where they can find you. We want to make sure all of our folks go follow you guys.
Sure.
We ask this of every guest we have, and as concisely as you can, whether it's 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, whatever.
Sure.
If somebody said to you today, I want to open a shop in my hometown, what are the 2 or 3 things that you would say to them that would give them the absolute best chance to succeed?
Sure. The number one that comes to mind immediately is those relationships you built in the past. You've got to be able to have those still, right? And by that, I mean, it's going to be very tough to accumulate product, right? Having just singles isn't going to work. Having just retail isn't going to work, right? You have to have someone that wants to come in and rip hobby boxes. So those relationships throughout your time at working it, because I don't think if you're opening a card shop, you haven't been doing this for a month or 6 months, a year. You've been doing this for a while.
One would hope.
One would hope that you've been doing this for a while. And those relationships that you've built, everything we do is relationships. Building a relationship with you guys, just talking up, hey, I seen you guys, boom, love that. Those are relationships I love building. They're true. They're always going to be there. If guys ever needed anything, 100%, you can come to me. Hope I can do the same thing for you guys, with you guys. But those are things that every single person I make a deal with, that's a relationship, right? And in the LCS space, you have to have somebody that has been there that you can at least lean on for questions, answers, maybe product, just to get you started. I always talk about, and I'll shout them out in this area, Youngstown Sports Cards. Great guys. I've known George for a long time. When we announced we were going to do that, his first thing was, what do you need, buddy? That was his first text us. What do you need? It's a relationship. I've been with him forever. And he was able to help us in the beginning of, whether it was getting us product, fronting us for a little bit to help us, and then move that way and be able to repay him back. But having those relationships is key, number one. And then for success, social media, man, you have to have some kind of rolling excitement for what you're doing, right? I've seen a couple guys that have been big social media guys that are now opening card shops. I'm like, okay, the social media stuff was probably working really well for you. The card shop stuff is going to be, I don't want to say a rude awakening, but a rude awakening. It's very different than it's a different, humbling, stomach churning experience. But if, like I said earlier in this take, was the grind and the hard work and all of that will pay itself forward if you're doing it the right way. That's our biggest thing. Just do the stuff do the right thing. That's us. Do the right way, do the right thing. It'll come back for you. But to be successful, you've got to have product. The singles are great. There's some, and you have to be, you have to buy. You have to, if you're not buying, you're dying. Like, that's our biggest thing. If you are not buying,
that.
It's massive.
That might be a t-shirt.
That might be a
steal
t-shirt
that
right
one.
there. I'm telling you, the wild part is in my, let's say, 30-mile radius here. We have a lot of older shops, some newer shops. The amount of people that come into my shop saying they're not buying is wild to me. Because you know what they did? They allowed them to Google Marz Cardz and find me from their shop, and they'll never go back to there again.
Yeah.
It's a fact. It's a fact. It's free. Push people to Marz Cardz, and when you walk in, everything is transparent with integrity and honesty and showing this is the last thing, this is where I'll be at. And guess what? They'll never not come to Marz Cardz again. That's it. And then they're, oh, damn, well, I got to grab something. Let me grab the Series 1 hobby real quick while I'm in here. So it's like those type of things, being able to buy and having that, instead of putting this, I see 6-figure shop being built right off the bat, and to be in the red for that long it's going to be tough, man. It really is. If you can find that fun medium of a smaller to mid, when you come in and you're putting 6 figures into a shop, and the questions of what's happening with Panini, that's big. That's massive.
Well, what people don't understand is that 6 figures for a shop of any size is not very much money. We've got a couple of LCSs that we have good relationships that we know really well, that their quarterly bill for product from Fanatics is multiple 6 figures.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes it's once a month when they drop 11 products at once. And if you want to keep your allocation for the next stuff that comes down the road, you got to buy it all. Dude. And they got rid of terms. They used to give you 60 or 90 days. Now they're just like, nope, we need that cash.
Bro,
please,
they're getting
another.
They're getting it 3 weeks in advance, dude. We got uppercutted, dude. We were on the ground, like, oh my Lord. And we're a fun established place, and we've been there, and it's like,
and you're like,
geez.
oh, I gotta send out $150K, and I'm not gonna see any return on that for 3 weeks to a month.
Minimum 3 weeks to a month. That release, and what if it's a flopper?
Yes,
it's like, what if I sell one hobby box of that?
What if it's Prison Black? What if it's Prison Black football?
Bro, that's dude. They duped everybody with that. That's crazy what they did to people on that one.
$50 for an Eddie Lacy auto.
Oh Lord, I'm seeing Chris Chambers, dude. The Miami Dolphins receiver. Chris, what are we doing?
Yeah,
like that's a wild one. So, but like that kind of stuff we've already been established, and yes, they're hitting you for 6 figures. 6 figures is not a lot. It's not when it comes to what the product is being forced on. And guess what? You know what they're going to do well? They're going to hit me with a wave 2 the day before release date. It hasn't even been released, and I'm getting a wave 2
at a higher price than wave 1.
At a higher price point. Yes, 100%. So those, you got to be ready for everything. And like I said, the grind that we put in, I think, has established us to a spot where we love where we're at. We love the growth. Our business model hasn't changed from a 300 square foot shop to a now almost 2,000 square foot shop. As far as, try to stay as small as you can for as long as you can, but our business model hasn't changed. And we're seeing that as well. It really hasn't. Like, some shops may have been like, oh, we're not doing any more shows. Like, we have the shop, we're good. No, you'll see us every other weekend somewhere. We love that part of it. That's what started all of this for us.
Yeah.
And it's cool when people come up to us and, want us to come to their shows and, hey, oh, I have this show in here. I would love to have you guys. Like, that's cool. Like for us, like, let's try it out. Sure. We can try it out. If it doesn't work, it's off the list. If it's good, we'll do the next one.
Yeah.
How do people find you? What's the best way to get a hold of you, follow you, all that fun stuff?
Yeah. So our biggest one's Instagram, Marz Cardz at Instagram, IG. We've been doing that forever. You can also find us at Marz Cardz on TikTok, Marz Cardz on Facebook. I'm not a huge Facebook guy, but the meta of Instagram to Facebook auto post is the best thing ever. So
Yeah.
you can find us there. Got a lot of fun stuff there. And that's the great part. Just having the Facebook part of that with the moms, dude, they're just texting, tagging, sending people to our shop. That's fantastic. And then if you're locally, we're, in Brunswick, Ohio, 1655 Pearl Road, Brunswick, Ohio. That's the best ways to reach us. And it was a pleasure, guys. I knew it was going to be fun when you guys asked for it. It was really cool. Hopefully you got some good fun content out of us.
Oh
too.
yeah. We appreciate you taking the time. I know the shop's getting ready to open, or if it might've just opened in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So we appreciate you giving us an hour of your time today. I know what that hour is worth, because I know what it's worth to us. So we definitely appreciate it. And we will see you up the road, guys. Make sure that you go give Marz Cardz a follow. If you see him at a show somewhere, go say hey to Mario. He'd love to talk to you, and we appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Gary, Jason. I appreciate it, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. All right. So one thing that we have encouraged in our Discord, which if you haven't yet, go hit our link tree. It's in the description below, and go check out our Discord. It's just a fun place for our community. Nobody's going to try to sell you a bunch of stuff. We're just hanging out, talking cards, talking sports, talking life. But we have a section in there for our mailbag, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what we're going to call it, because we want it to be fun. But every good suggestion we've had is borderline PG-13. Yeah. So we're going to stick with mailbag for now. And we've got a question from Morels86. It's a little bit long. I'm going to condense it a little bit. But basically, Morels has an eBay store, and he sets up at shows. He does pretty good volume of business on eBay, around $150 a day, 5 to 10 cards a day. But his struggle is that he's finding that his showcase at shows is basically leftovers that haven't sold on eBay, as the hottest players and cards sell quickly. Am I losing out on money by selling my best cards on eBay and paying the fees and shipping and not saving them for shows? Or should I just focus on moving cards as fast as possible to keep me liquid no matter where the sale happens? I thought that was a really good question. Yeah.
I think it's something that a lot of people deal with, because especially if you're trying to scale it a little bit, you have a consistent amount of revenue. The natural next thought is, how do I grow this, right? So you're going to start looking at your margins and seeing if you're giving anything up. Am I being efficient with my inventory, right? I think the answer, and I'm pretty sure you're going to say the same thing, is yes, you need both. You need things that are going to move quickly at top of market, and you need cards that you focus more on the sales velocity and taking a quick 10, 15, 20, 25% on. The value of selling low-end cards is that often you're already in at such a cheap cost basis off of what it's going to sell for, that you can focus on velocity. But you know what you can't do that with right now? Shohei Ohtani.
Even low end.
Yes. I am not putting any of my Shohei stuff on eBay. If I had big stuff, autos, I would still probably want an auction house to market that for me. To give up that fee when most dealers are having to buy super liquid stuff pretty strong, that's where you'd want to be at the show scene. That's where that 13% in fees you actually want back in your pocket. So that's my answer. Anything to add to that, Gary?
Yeah, a little bit. For me, I think it depends on what your eBay store is. It sounds like yours is very much a crossover, like, of the type of stuff. My eBay store is focused almost solely on one specific niche. And that's not a niche that has a ton of overlap with my showcase. Now, I do have cards that are both places. For me, usually the stuff I have in my showcase, the price in my showcase is a little bit lower than my eBay price, because I'm trying to net the same amount, right? It all depends on the type of shows you're at and the type of customers that are at those shows. If you're at your small local show every month, then yeah, probably just focus on eBay, because that's where you're going to move those bigger cards. But if you're setting up at bigger shows, I use a sticker system. I just put a big colored sticker on the back of a One Touch or a slab that's in a slab bag for the stuff that's on eBay and in my showcases. And then as it sells, I just take it down off of my eBay store.
Yeah, not everybody, but most people that are doing this, at least to pay some bills with it, are going to leverage both opportunities. It's really important that you have a system that as soon as a card sells at a show, you can take it off of eBay, because that double sale, if you do that a few times, it really will hit your metrics. And then now these things that made more sense for eBay aren't even getting the full exposure eBay can offer them. So you need to really think through that. But I really like what Gary's saying. Like, he has a lane for his eBay stuff. Do you know in your mind, when you're looking through a stack of inventory, what stuff you have that is better for eBay and better for showcases? So a baby step to that, if we're jumping too far, is to just make note, like over the next few shows, what are cards that have a good comp value, that have several sales on eBay recently, but are not moving at shows for you? That's the data telling you that that's a card that's better for eBay. So
well, I sold a TJ Ford RPA numbered to 1750 on eBay this week
with the baggy shorts that were like,
yes,
yeah,
it was a RPA, really cool card of a player who was a good NBA player, obviously not a great. That card would never have sold at a show for me. It would have literally sat in a value box for months and months and months, no matter how cool it was. Right. And it sold on eBay within about a week of listing it.
Yep. Same with the vintage Topps Venezuelans for me. So if I get weird vintage stuff that's like even lower grade, if I put that out in a show, every single person walking that's going to pick up the Topps Venezuelan. They're going to turn it over. They're going to see the paper loss. They're going to see the condition issues, and they're going to try to play the game. And I just put it up on eBay and said, hey, look, the back of this card is roached. It's a 67 Venezuelan. They're
toast.
Tough to find. Here's the price. And they were snap selling. So I think it's finding a lane, and everybody's going to target different stuff. So for me, oddball, weird, vintage stuff makes sense on eBay. I can funnel it there because it's not going to be an instant sell in the show. And for me, ultra modern, relevant quarterbacks, unless it's a big card or super unique, I'm selling it in the showcase. I'm not going to give up percentage points to eBay on that.
Yeah. Yep. So hopefully that answers your question. One more question this week. This one's from our buddy Jeff. He's interested in how the process of buying has changed for us recently, both between Whatnot and for shows. But I think basically with the overall volatility of the market and kind of the surge in the market, what has changed for us from a buying standpoint?
Because of the surge in the market, everyone is trying to free up cash and flip cards. So it's created a unique dynamic, I think, and Gary would agree with this, where we have a lot more people that just don't have a basic, like naturally have a grasp that I'm going to a vendor, I'm selling a card. I should expect that they're going to want to buy it for less to pay for, to sell it for more, right? I think there's a piece of this where everybody's trying to move everything right now because there's so much excitement, and I want to move it, free up cash, and then I want to do this, and then I want to do that because it's a new thing for a lot of people. But for both of us, I think we would say we're buying more and we're getting more picky. Both things are true.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cards that are the right parallel that I used to just snap at because it's the right parallel that I pause and say, is it the right parallel and the right player? Is it the right parallel and the right player and the right uniform? Is it the right slab on the right player in the right? So it's just really thinking through those factors.
And I think the biggest change that I've seen for us both together and individually is the challenge of buying cheap slabs.
Oh yeah,
of the right names,
$20 to $70.
It's almost impossible unless you want to buy a Tristan Casas, somebody that's not very relevant. Anything that's the right names of the right players, especially PSA slabs, it's getting really, really tough to get a hold of that stuff.
I think it's the repack scene that's created that. I think it is the fact that as those companies have grown, they're like realizing that $20 to $70 price point is where most of our degenerates are going to spend their money.
Well, I also think the turnaround time at PSA isn't helping either.
Right.
It's taken longer and longer for that stuff to come in, and people aren't sending as much of that kind of stuff because the prices have gone up, and it's kind of silly to send a $10 raw card and spend $35 on it and get a 9 and you get 20 for it when you sell it to a dealer.
Right. Yep. Yeah. The math's not math in there.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that there's a new level of pressure for us as well when we buy now. As we've scaled and grown, like if a show gets slow, I look at Gary and I'm like, I have to go walk.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I'll be, but I got to go find my whatnot stuff. I'm looking for this, looking for that. Showcase stuff for the most part. I don't do a lot of buying for that while I'm set up at a show, but I'll hit value boxes and look for hidden treasure.
I don't know.
and-
You bought some pretty cool stuff that walked up this week. Some really cool triple
No,
thread
I mean
stuff.
walking up. That's fine.
Yes.
I didn't go walking anywhere.
No, for sure.
But there's as you grow, there's only more pressure to buy. You become less worried about can I sell enough because you're just learning what merchandise, what inventory people buy. Like any shop owner would, right? People respond with their dollars. So when you learn that, then it's like, all right, I need a lot more of that and a lot less of the other stuff.
Well, and as our businesses have evolved, like you're talking about the stress of filling out a full solo whatnot show every single week. I actually have found that with the lane that I've taken with my eBay store, that there are times when buying gets a little easier because I can buy some of the weird stuff that nobody else in the room is going to want. Like I bought a 2012 exquisite basketball Sean Elliott on card booklet auto with the whole Wildcats head patch in it. That person could walk that around that room 100 times and everyone's gonna say, that's cool. I don't have a use for it.
Right.
But with my eBay store and the lane that I have a use for it.
Yeah.
So
that box was nasty that you went through.
it was. Well, you got to it first, but you left all the cool eBay stuff for me. So that was
well, and let's talk about that too. So Gary and I look through the same value boxes now. And now that I'm not doing a high volume, low end eBay store, and he is doing 90s eBay, I'm looking for more of the GOAT players. Like I'm going after more names, which I've talked about for whatnot. It's super important. And Gary can hit the same box, and we both walked out with a big stack, and the inventories worked better for each of us. The stuff that I bought for whatnot, some of that I'm sure he would put on a store, but most of it he wouldn't, and vice versa. So I think it's committing to that lane and learning what doesn't fit your metrics for how you're moving cards right now. Yeah. And it's okay for that to change because it's going to on a regular basis.
Yep.
As
the market changes, as your business changes, things are going to change.
Yep.
Is there anything else we got, Jason, or is that?
No, but I love those questions. I think keep those coming. Hop on the Discord again. Like we want to be a resource and a help. So, and then you can always shoot us messages on Instagram. We do our best to reply to those. We don't get to all of them right away, but we try every week to make sure that we've gone through and caught everything. So,
like, sure follow, subscribe, hit the little bell button down here. All those things that helps us out a ton. Like Jason said, follow the link tree, hit the Discord, follow us all the places. Yeah.
I'll give a little preview. This week, I am going to be set up at Xenia. So if you're watching this today, the day it drops, you're always watching it today. The day it drops, we'll be at the Xenia show tomorrow. So be sure to check that out. Taking the 11th off, having a little bit of time with the family. That's great. And then I'll be in Cincinnati at Eastgate on the 18th. So make sure to make a note of that. Come say, hey, Gary's going to be out sailing away.
On a boat.
He's on a boat, baby. Living his best life. And that's what we'll be doing there. So
awesome. Well, you know what time it is, Jason?
It's time.
What has it been?
Huh? What has it been? I have no idea where you're going with this.
So it's time for us to do our ending.
Oh, I didn't know that's what we're doing. This has been the Ballcard Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.